Anavah, what's going on, guys? Moral Scott here. We're going to talk about Thursday's workout. Now, we're getting super close to being back in the gym, starting next week. So this is just one of our last few workouts before we get back to that. It's going to be a recovery workout today. Same thing for most Thursdays. Light warm-up, light workout, a little bit of recovery work from stretching. So today what we have for a warm-up, a run, lunge, and run. 400 meters on your run. As you're starting out this run, you can start it a little bit slower, pick up speed as you go. One thing you might want to focus on today when you're running is controlling your breathing. This would give you a good opportunity to do that today. Maybe breathe in, count how many steps you're taking, breathe out. Try and stick to that even once you get into the workout and you get into a higher intensity to be able to time your breaths a little bit better. You're going to have 20 lunges, and I'll kind of show you a little technique here in a second. But forward stepping lunges is what we're going to want to go for here. And another 400. Again, picking up speed as you go on. That's going to be your warm-up. For our MetCon, same movements, just kicking up the intensity a little bit. We're going to go for a mile run. So if you're having trouble with figuring out exactly how long a mile is when you're running, maybe an app on your phone can tell you that, or you can take however much you ran for your 400 and just quadruple it, right? That's going to equal a mile. Going to go 400 meters of walking lunges. Now again, if the 400 meter mark is something that's a little bit questionable, if you just want to do walking lunges in place, that's an option as well. And we'll mention that in the description down below. Another mile run. Again, the point of these recovery workouts is not to get you spent, right? It's more to get you into a good heart rate, get you sweating, but most of all, just kind of recover you, right? We're not trying to drive ourselves into the dirt here. We're just trying to get our sweat on, get our heart pumping to get ready for next week. I'm gonna move the camera down a little bit so we can talk. All right, so let's talk about the lunges real quick. So biggest thing when you're doing your walking lunges, and to really kind of avoid some possible knee issues here, is to make sure we are stepping far enough out in front of us to have a 90-degree angle here with our foreleg or our shin and our femur, our thigh. This is ideally what we want to work for. So if you're just doing in place lunges, right, from a standing position, if you're walking, step forward, knee tapping the ground. We do it with our other leg here. Yeah. You don't want to take a step too far out or too far forward. What that's going to do is just put a little more extra stress on our knees, make us a little bit wobbly. Another thing with the lunges is how you stand or transition to the next one. Really want you to think about standing all the way up, squeezing your butt before you go into the next step. That's going to help you get a little more activation from your glutes out of it. Next up, we're going to talk about the recovery, the stretches. I have a clip from that from a couple weeks ago. We're going to throw that in there. It's the exact same stretches, might just look a little bit different. So, meet you there. Has two thumbs and couldn't find that footage from last week. This guy. But I'll go ahead and do that again for you. So 9 stretches today. Again, just working on some of these mobility things. Might not be something we're really working on throughout this time, but this gives us the opportunity to do so. First one's going to be the puppy pose. We're going to do this for 1 minute. We're going to get on our knees. Our goal here is we're going to end up putting our hands out in front of us and almost kind of pushing our head through our arms, right? That's going to help with our shoulder mobility a little bit. So, hands out in front of us. We're going to come down. Try and push your head through your arms. It's almost like when you're doing the overhead press and then stretch, same kind of concept there. So just trying to reach. Next one up, we have the shoulder to floor. So what I'm going to do, again, 1 minute this time. One side, I'm going to reach across and try and touch my shoulder to the floor. I'll do that on the opposite side. Going as low as I can get, sinking into that position, hanging out there, that's fine. Again, any mobility movement, slower, more controlled is better. Next up, you got the wrist stretches. So anything you can do, right? We can go on our palms and lean forward. We can go on the back of our hands and lean backward. Any mixture of those or any other wrist stretches you know of to help you get a little bit of better motion there. Very helpful in that front rack position for your front squats and things like that. Next up is the couch stretch. Now, if you have a couch, you can obviously do it on one of those, a chair, or even up against the wall. So, if you're up against the wall, the goal here is to get your knee as close to the wall or couch as you can. Right? Then, the opposite leg's out in front of you, and you're going to try and stand, or not stand, but sit as tall as you can. You're going to be squeezing your glutes to try and push your hips forward. That's going to target that hip flexion. You can stay in this position. You can lean a little bit forward, add a little more stretch there. Now, 2 minutes total there. You can go for 1 minute per side, or if you have extra time, try and go 2 minutes per side. Next up is the pigeon stretch. So this one's good for the glutes. Leg out in front of you, perpendicular, right? From there, I'm going to try and sit tall, or I can lean into it. Either way, it should target your glutes. But biggest thing there, try and get your foot out in front to have your foreleg or your shin be perpendicular to you. If you're having trouble getting to that position, elevate where you're putting your legs. So maybe it's a box you're putting your leg up on, and then you're manipulating where you're putting pressure on there. Next up's the butterfly. So classic gym class stretch right here. Feet together, elbows on the knees. We're pushing down on those. We're kind of opening up our legs here. So that's what we're going to go for, 90 seconds there. Again, manipulating where you're putting your body weight will help you target new areas. Then we have the straddle. So open legs. We can reach to one side, lean into it. We can reach down the middle, reach to the other side, play around for a minute. Next is the kneeling split. So, also known as the frog stretch. Wide stance with the knees. We'll put our hands out in front of us. What we're going to do is try and sit back up in this position, and keep trying to do that. If you're not necessarily feeling it, try and open or set your base a little bit wider with your knees, so a little bit wider of a straddle stance. The last one is the pike. So I'd stand up, and I'm going to try and touch my toes or get as close to the floor as I can get while feeling that tension in my hamstrings back here. So if I completely round out, I'm probably not going to feel it if I open my chest up a little bit, almost like you would in a deadlift, you'll feel that tension in your hamstrings get a little bit heavier. And that's what we want to try and shoot for and hold during that 1 minute. So again, do these stretches kind of slow and steady, right? And if you have more time, devote more time to each one. Now, we can put this in the description. You can see it on Modify, either one which works for you. Next up is going to be your workout, or optional workout for Thursday.